Stephanie Anderson, and I am the Everyday Learners Director for United Way of Utah County. Once again, we're here with you, and we're on our 14th week. We are so excited to be here in your homes and sharing a part of your day, and thank you for commenting. Thank you for being so generous. Last week we asked you what book we could send you, and some of you said, we've already got that book, but we'll just give it to a neighbor. Wow, we have some great participants, and we're so fortunate that some of our staff is coming in, and it is feeling a little bit more normal, even though we're still doing things not the way we used to be. But so today we are going to talk about social and emotional development and how you can help your children, because it's like a physical development or other type of development. What you can do is depending on what their ages are. So one thing we do want to start with is that we know that there's a lot of people in our county that are struggling with their social distancing and not having the face-to-face contact that they have had in the past. And if that is something that you need help with, please call 211. There are several different programs available to help you connect with other parents and people in your community. Also, we are going on to the third month of some people being out of jobs and not having the resources they need, and also 211 can connect you with those. We've been able to receive grants and some funding. We have some organizations in the community that have been very generous that the money goes to help support people in need at this time. So if you yourself are struggling or you know someone that is, please call 211. You can call anytime. That line is open all the time and can help you. Again, I do want to put a plug in for our VITA program. If you haven't done your taxes, they are due in July. That's coming up. And so if you need help, there is a way for you to come in and have someone take your forms if you don't want to put them over the internet. So there are some ways that can help you get your taxes done, and so you can get your refund. And so I'm trying to remember to talk loud. Most people never have to say, will you please talk louder? In fact, it's sort of the opposite, but I will try to talk loud so that you can hear me. And we'll make sure to move the camera up so you can see the clips. But I would suggest that when we are doing a clip that you put it on your computer and mute us for a minute and watch it from your computer. You can download the PowerPoints that we're using, which will be a great help for you. These are great resources that you can use, and so those are available. Because this is a new theme that we've been talking about, we will not be able to send out the electronic handout. But I do have a brochure that I'm sending that will go over the main points that we are talking about today. And the book ideas that we have, you could look at What to Do with the Mad You Feel or our play or cognitive development one to get some book ideas for emotions. But we do have some good books that we've never read before. So we're going to be reading today that will be available for you to pick today. So as you pick your choices, we hope that you are happy with what we're sending you, and we appreciate you being so flexible with us. So we're going to talk about social and emotional development, and so I feel like the very first thing that we need to do is get our PowerPoint to work. We have frozen here. Just hold on for a second. I think what I'll do is I'm going to read a book, and I'm going to have someone come and actually turn it off and then turn it back on. Oh, here we go. I think maybe it's going back on, but we will do that anyway, okay? Okay, so this is a really fun book. It's got a great introduction from some of our favorite characters, Elephant and Piggy, but this is We Are Growing. And I'll talk about the reason why I'm reading this book in a little bit after we get going with our workshop. But I just want to read the introduction. Dear readers, it's so cool that you like to read. Elephant and Piggy like to read too. So I thought that they would share some of their favorite books with you. We Are Growing is about 8 friends who are growing up fast, just like you are. I hope you enjoy this story as much as they do, as Elephant and Piggy do. Your pal Mo. Piggy, look at this new book. It's exciting as watching grass grow. Because it is watching grass grow. Exciting, let's read it. Boing. What was that? I think I just grew. Look. Wow. You did grow. Look at that. I just grew all by myself. Cool, huh? I know. I made it look easy. But growing is hard work. In fact, bing. Hey, I just grew. Bam, wee, zap, beep, honk. We are all growing. Look at them. That happens at my grass too. Now it will make me feel bad to cut it. You are growing tall. I'm the tallest. He is the tallest. You are growing curly. I am the curliest. You're growing silly. Yeah, I'm the silliest. We are pointy. We are the pointiest. We are crunchy. I am the crunchiest. Oh, I don't know what he thinks about that. I am the dandiest. You are a dandelion, a weed. Yeah, I've been called worse. So what are you, Walt? Me? Uh-huh. Yeah, hey. Well, I'm not the tallest. I'm not the curliest, or the silliest, or the pointiest, or the crunchiest, or the dandiest. What am I? I do not know what I am. It's okay. We will help you. I know. You are, never mind. Hey, yeah? Let me think. Maybe not. So what are you? Well, hurry up. Tell us. Come on. Think, Walt. You can do it. Oh no, here comes the lawnmower. Bzzz. Bzzz. Oh no, eek! What a mess. I am not the curliest anymore. I am not the tallest anymore. We are not the anythest anymore. Don't worry. You will grow again. We will? Yeah! We will grow again. Grow, grow, grow. Before we grow, let's clean this place up. Hey, I think I know what I am. I am neat. You are neat? You are neat. You're so neat. You're the neatest. I am the neatest. We are all the somethingest. This book is the funniest. Yeah, I love to read. Me too. Do you know what that makes us? Yep, we're the readingest. Oh, isn't that a fun book? And like I said, we're going to talk about it a little bit later of why it's so important, but we are I'm just going to talk about what social and emotional development is as we're getting this up and why it's important. And so social and emotional development begins right at birth. In fact, it is one of the major things that happens. And like we've talked about before, they're what we call mirror neurons. And that is one of the earliest signs of social growth and emotional growth is when your baby sticks their tongue out and then you do it and they do it back. And then another thing that happens is there is a chemical called, now my brain's freezing because I'm thinking about Cheyenne trying to get that up for us. But there's a chemical that is released that really helps children in their emotional wellness. And so even our chemical reactions in our bodies right from birth, and when you feed your child, when you're nursing them, or when you're feeding them in a bottle, the reason why we ask you to hold your baby is because of that chemical that when you're looking at your baby and your baby is looking at you, that's the chemical that is released that makes the social and emotional wellness. And so it does happen at birth, and it really, emotional development means that children know how to express how they feel. They know what other people are feeling, and they also are able to regulate their feelings. And so think about that. And as we talk about some of the stages of that, especially what they're feeling is something very early in emotional development. And some of the things that you will find that a child that is developing on the rate that they should be is they're able to make friends, they do better in school, and they're able to do better also in new situations. And so there's lots of benefits of social and emotional growth. And so the one thing that you can do to support a child in this area, number one, the biggest one is to model your own growth in this. And so are you able to control your emotions? I know there's times in my life that I haven't been able to. But even if you do get upset, to explain to a child what is happening and why you felt that way. And so don't not show children your emotions. That doesn't mean take your emotions out on them, but when you are feeling a certain way, talk about it, and then talk about what you did to actually resolve those emotions. Talk about being afraid and what to do. Another way that you can do it is actually watch television shows and then talk about those shows. We talked last week about finding shows that are age appropriate and also that are theme appropriate. And theme appropriate shows such as Clifford or Clifford and Curious George and Sesame Street and of course Daniel Tiger. Those are shows that are going to talk about social and emotional growth. And you can talk about things to help them understand their growth. Another thing that I am glad that the research has proven is that reading books and telling stories about social and emotional growth is one of the best ways to help children understand that and grow for it. It can be a reference point that you can bring out when you talk about a book. Remember when we read Yo Yes about a little boy that felt lonely and afraid, and then someone came and helped him, and he felt happy and joyful at the end because of that. And then helping children understand that. Are we ready to go on, or should we just keep going? We are having some problems. I don't know what it is about this class that we can get set up and everything can be working, and the minute we try to start, then things don't quite work out as we want it. So I am going to follow along in the PowerPoint with you. And but you'll need to follow along. Okay, here we go. So I think that we got everything. One of the things that one of my staff members put up for me is that it is oxytocin that is that chemical that is released to help us feel happy. And so it's very important, and that's why we want touching and bonding. That what will help. Now, one of the other things that social and emotional skills help us do is it helps a child gain confidence and have empathy. Now, you might not think that your child has empathy as a toddler, but they do, but they will express it differently than an adult or a child will. And again, we'll talk about that as we go on. I think that the biggest way that we know that a child is able to gain these skills is they have the ability to resolve conflict. And isn't it interesting to note that our whole adult life, we are still developing our social and emotional skills. It doesn't just end at 12 or 10. So let's start. So we do know that emotions are how we feel, and as we've talked about in What to Do with the Mad You Feel, most emotions are a reaction to events that are happening in our lives. And so we do know that there's some primary emotions, and these develop in the first 3 to 4 months. Isn't that interesting that a child that is a very young newborn can experience happiness, and fear is one that comes out. So surprise and anger, disgust, sadness, and joy. So these are our primary emotions, and then other things and from these will stem from those emotions. Once again, we have the book, How Are You Feeling? And it talks about different ways that you might be feeling disgust. Like you were up all night and you might be tired, and then someone gets the flu and it's all over your carpet. You might be a little disgusted. So, and that's a reaction to something else. And children feel these emotions. They might not have words for them, and that's where you as a parent or caregiver need to come in and give a child a word. Oh, you seemed anxious to go play on that new swing. Or you look afraid to go talk to that little boy. And then what we want to do is give them the skills, but give them those words of how they're feeling. So we are going to watch Daniel's Tiger is Sad, because this is an emotion that children are born right when they're newborn they have, and of course it's throughout their lives.
Watch Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, weekdays on the PBS Kids station or anytime on the PBS Kids.
I think Daniel's Tiger really does help children not only name their emotions, but that they have caring adults that help them deal with those emotions. Did you see that Daniel Tiger went from one feeling to another very quickly? I think that as a parent educator and working in the child development arena, I have had so many parents ask me, why does my child is happy 1 minute, like completely happy, and then the next minute throwing a fit? And it almost takes 2 or 3 minutes to help him resolve. And then he goes on like that fit never happened. And I thought, I always say that's normal behavior. And if there's one thing that I would like you as a parent to understand is that children deal with emotions differently than we do. And in fact, I hope that you saved this little chart to help you remember that a child below 5 years old, they'll only feel one of those primary emotions at a time. They're not going to feel anything else except that primary emotion. So just like Daniel Tiger, he was really sad, and then he went from sad to mad very quickly. And then when he wanted to play hide and seek, he went to happy. And that is normal. For children under 5, they're only going to feel one emotion. And it's the emotion that has the biggest reaction to other things that's going on to a child's life. Now, between the ages of 5 and 7, they can feel multiple emotions, but they're going to be from the same emotional cluster. So, for example, they might think something is silly, or they might be tired, which makes them angry, which makes them get frustrated really easy. So those type of emotions are going to cluster together. And I'm just going to give an example that I've given in another class, but I think it's worth repeating, is that if your child is really, really excited about something and really happy, for example, this is something that most children have you've been through, is if they want to go to a brand new event, like the parade, or like swimming lessons, or like preschool, or like kindergarten, and they're really excited about it, and then they get there and they are just overwhelmed with anxiety and fear. And you try to talk to them about how happy they were and how excited, though they are not going to be able to relate to that. And so you need to, again, be the one that's there for them to help them through that emotion and talk about it. And you can say, remember yesterday when you were so excited to come and do swimming lessons? I know you're afraid right now. I'm going to be here and I'm going to watch you. Your teacher's going to be here, and you need to give them the reassurance. So remember that they cannot feel more than one emotion at a time. And if they do, it's going to be from a cluster. So it's not until 8 or 9 that they can feel multiple emotions, but they're going to be in sort of a succession, that they're going to maybe be able to go out of that. So they might be able to go, oh yeah, I was really excited to go to that birthday party, and I don't know all the other kids here, but I am excited, and get happier. Now, what happened with our video and our PowerPoint is exactly what people can do, or adults, not people, adults can do. So I was very frustrated that our electronics never seemed to work, but I was really excited that I could read you a new book. And so I could manage all those emotions at the same time. And so once again, adults can have all different kinds of emotions. And I just have to say, I was probably my biggest emotion at that time was so thankful and so joyful and so happy that I had 2 staff members that could solve that problem for me. So even though I was frustrated, I also had those multiple emotions. So as an adult, sometimes we feel like, well, we can do this, why can't a child? And that's really, this is something that you want to refer to. Where is my child on this? My child is normal if they're under 5, and 1 minute they're as happy as can be, and the next minute crying. Just want you to know the word for today is laughing, okay? So laughing. So don't be upset or think, what am I doing wrong, or what's wrong with my child, because that's normal behavior. I remember when this is actually taken from a social and emotional a college education book for child development, and I remember seeing this and being able to teach it, and it's almost like a wave of relief when you understand that that's normal and your child just doesn't have meltdowns in the grocery store because other people are watching. Okay, so we're going to watch an episode with T-Bone from Clifford. And T-Bone, when you recognize him, the one thing I like about T-Bone is he does show a lot of emotions, and he is able to, he's sometimes afraid of things and how he deals with that there.
Okay, T-Bone, let's see how strong you are. Go ahead and move this rock.
Right.
So we're going to talk about motion recognition and when that happens. And one of the things that most experts agree is that between 7 months, children can actually recognize the emotions of adults, and it does affect them. One of the leading brain neurologists, his name is Bruce Perry, and he still is, but he was a child psychologist. And he worked with a lot of children that came from very traumatic environments. And the one thing that he said is that a mom's depression could actually help cause a child to be, an infant to be depressed. And so he really advocates for, if you are experiencing depression or you're experiencing postpartum depression, any kind of anxiety, that it is healthy for the mom to get the support she needs, because her depression or her emotions does influence children. And as we talked about last week, or a couple weeks ago, temperament of a child and a parent will influence that too. Now, interestingly enough, about 5 months, a child is going to take the physical and facial cues of the parents to know how to feel. In fact, if you watch a baby and a stranger comes in the room, what they're going to be doing is take the social cues from the emotion to see how to react. So if the parent sort of is holding a baby and sort of like snuggles that baby a little closer and puts it in a little bit, that child will actually feel those emotions of, oh, I need to stay close to mom. Now, if grandma comes, okay, maybe. So if grandma comes and mom's excited and it's like, look at it's grandma, and she's passing the baby over, the child will also experience that. And about 7 months, a child will actually look at people and start to react to who they are. Now, one of the biggest development areas in a child, an infant's life, is called object permanence. And it happens around 9 months. And this is when a child knows that his communication can make somebody come back. They know somebody, once they leave the room, still exists, or they know that if you hide a toy under a blanket, that it's still there and to look for it. And so object permanence is when children will start to react to you leaving, or their feelings, emotional feelings of them wanting things back. And so it's at this stage that even if you walk into another room, they start to cry, or you drop them off at the childcare and they've never cried or reacted with strong emotions before, and all of a sudden they're just crying their eyes out. And so you might think, what is happening? But what you do need to realize is that's an important phase, and that children are showing their emotions. They're expressing those emotions. So object permanence is very important for a young child. And so you'll start to see those stages. And so moms and dads, don't get upset if a parent walks out of the room and the other one looks at you and starts howling because they want the other parent. That's just their way of expressing, hey, come on back, we want you to join the group. It doesn't mean that the other parent is a bad parent or is harming the child. It just means that they want everyone around them. Okay, the next thing is that there's a thing that's called social referencing. And as I talked about before, is that children are going to look to you as the parent or child caregiver to know how to approach novel things. So I am very fortunate to have 3 amazing daughter-in-laws, and it's really fun to see their children with social referencing. I have one daughter-in-law that she, with her 4 children, if one of their children falls and is not hurt by any means, then she'll just say, whoa, you took a tumble, jump up. And those kids will look at their mom and sort of be like, okay, I guess I'm happy, and jump up and go. My other daughter-in-law, who I have to say I'm more alike than this, is that when her kids fall, she sort of is like, oh no, are you okay? And the kids will take that social referencing and start to cry. And there's not a right or wrong way, that's the way we are, but they are going to take your cues. And so as you're crying and you're dropping them off at kindergarten, save those tears for your car and don't do it in front of them. So, because they are going to take your cues. And do we not still do the same things that when we're around other people, or you're at a sporting event and you're going to take the social cues of what other things are going on. So that's the beginning, it's not the ending. And so you will model and support children through their emotional development. This is one of my favorite phases. It's not a phase, it's a developmental skill. Is that, have you ever seen a child that will be on the phone and say, look at this book, Grandma, or look what I'm doing, or look what I'm eating? This is what we call egocentric, and it's a part of theory of mind. And when I talked about empathy, just for a touch earlier on, is that children are empathetic only in the sense of what they feel. So they cannot really know how to help somebody else, only what they would want to be helped. And we've seen children as young as 18 months try to give another child that's crying a blanket or a binky or a bottle, because that's what they would want if they were crying. And so we do know that children can be empathetic and they can understand feelings of other children, but they're going to look at it from the point of their own view. And so up until about 4 years old, there's been a lot of studies that show that children only can think about their own thoughts and how to do something the way that they would do it. And they're not going to think about what other children are feeling. And that's why a lot of times kids don't say they're sorry, because they really are not. And I'm not trying to make anything hard for you, But most child development experts, and myself included, not as an expert, but as this recommendation, don't make your children say they're sorry. Now I know a lot of them are gonna like, no, that's how I was raised and I had to do it and I thought it was great. But when you make a child feel something they're not, then you're asking them to say something they're not sorry for. What is a better way is for you to apologize. Oh, Johnny, I'm so sorry that Sally hit you. It hurts when you get hit. Sally, look at Johnny's face. He looks sad. Look, he does not want to sit by you anymore. You can explain those feelings and then you can say, Sally, what could you do to help him feel better? Now, if Sally is like, he still has my toy, want to hit him again, then you want to remove Sally. But if you could say, what are some things that you could do to make him feel better, then let that child, Sally, decide on her own. It just sounds a little like tell somebody you feel some way that you don't. Now, I had 2 older brothers and I have the best siblings in the world, but when I was younger and I actually had to tell my brothers I was sorry, I would tell them I was sorry and then my parents would leave the room and I would say, I really am not. And then I would walk around and walk out the door and run so they wouldn't chase me and hit me. But that's normal for a child. So if your children do it, that's normal. But we do want children to see what they've done and understand that it's caused some things, but don't make them say something that they're quite not ready for. Now, if they are sorry, you can say, would saying sorry help them feel better? And are you sorry you hit them? So those are the things that you can prompt them and you can model that behavior, but don't try to make them do it. So this is something that my kids have done, is that my oldest daughter, there's only about 6 years between her and my oldest grandson. And she would say to my grandson, that's my mom. And he'd be like, no, that's my grandma. And she's like, no, it's my mom. And you know, that's theory of mind. Children are egocentric. They only can think about their own thoughts and what's relevant in their life. And so don't be worried in this stage if a child is not able to really empathize, but do point out when they are doing things like sharing and they are being empathetic. Oh, that's really nice, you want to give him your blanket, but he's hungry. What can we do to help him not feel hungry? And start pointing those things out, okay? And so we have another clip from Daniel Tiger, which the whole show is about social and emotional growth.
Miss Elena, are you done with the red paint now? No. How about now? No. Now? No. Now. No. Now? Yes. There you go. Wait. Oh, no. Miss Elena, you messed up my picture. I'm so mad at you. Daniel, stop. You're standing on my picture. Look what you did. It's all wrecked. I'm mad at you, Daniel. So mad.
Uh-oh. It looks like you're both mad. Let's calm down. You know what to do.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Did that help?
A little. I feel a little calmer.
Now that you're both calm, let's talk about what happened.
Miss Elena spilled red paint on my picture, and it made me mad. It was an accident. But then Daniel ripped my picture, and it made me mad too. I didn't mean to. I know.
It sounds like you both made mistakes.
Do you think Miss Elena is still my friend? Teacher Harriet, is Miss Elena still my friend?
You know, Daniel, even good friends get mad at each other sometimes. But you're still friends.
Really? Even if we got really mad? Because I was really mad like this.
Okay, so I love that clip of the teacher, is that she helped them get to a point when they could say they were sorry. Now, I'm sure probably in most households, including my own, that would not happen as quickly within 30 seconds. But the teacher never told them how to feel. She gave them the skills of what to do to calm down and help them understand their feelings. One of our new books this week is by Lizzie Rockwell, and it's How Do You Feel? And it doesn't have very few words. It just has the feelings that you could come up with situations that when you felt like this. How do you feel? Do you feel happy? Or do you feel sad? Do you feel silly? Or do you feel mad? Do you feel sorry? Or do you feel scared? Do you feel calm? Do you feel brave? Or do you feel shy? Or do you feel friendly? How do you feel? And it just goes through all of those feelings. And again, these are great books to help children know what those feelings are and then why that you would have those. And once again, in every one of those scenarios, it was a reaction to other things that was going on, like feeling scared because of seeing a big black spider. So now we're going to go through different ages and what you would see for social and emotional development at certain ages. Most of this information comes from the CDC's website called Pathways, and we will be sending you again a brochure that goes along with this information. But if you ever need support for child development, that is one of the sites that I use. It's free of charge, everything you can download, and it will give you not only what different developmental milestones you're looking for, but if you have a child that is extremely shy, it will give you some resources of how to work on that or how to help children cope with that feeling. And so about 3 months, we know that a child can do that social smile. And that means it's a real smile and he's really smiling at you and wanting to be around you. And they're going to have more facial and body expressions. So they're going to use their body language at a very early age, and that will keep on. And they can calm themselves briefly for a very short amount of time by sucking their thumb or hearing your voice. Sometimes just when you go into the room, they'll calm down for just a second. And they can recognize that they're having fun and may cry when something stops that they were enjoying. And this is one of the biggest milestones that you're going to look for in this area is, are they making eye contact with you? So we do know that that's very important. It's a way that we can screen for autism or on the spectrum. And so look for that. And not only that, we talked a couple months ago about that it's a critical area for optical development. And so if your child isn't tracking or looking at you, we want to make sure that his eyes are developing right. Okay? So this next stage is usually happy when other people are around them. And this is where they're going to respond to making faces and your overly exaggerated coos and those type of things. They actually will not, they'll use their surroundings to help their emotions. So they're going to bang on things, they're going to kick the mobiles, and so they're going to use once again, their surroundings to help them express their emotions. And we've talked about this stage, about social referencing, and that they do become clingier, they want you, they will follow you, they'll crawl after you, they hang on to your legs when you're trying to do anything. And so they really know what they want, and they will express a way to get it. And then they do become anxious around strangers. And so before this, about 5 months, when you leave a child with a stranger that is safe, they're not going to really, they just want to make sure their needs are met. But around 9 months, if you have someone new come into their life, or even someone that's familiar, they're still going to react to you leaving. So between 10 and 12 months, they are going to start showing some independence. And they are going to explore, and they're going to start being what some people call a little refusing things and not wanting to be completely obedient. This is a time when they will be fearful of things. Right now, my granddaughters are really afraid of thunder. They're afraid of loud noises, and we've been doing a lot of things to help them overcome that. But their fears are real, and they are expressed immediately. And so, once again, at this time, they're only going to show one emotion. And they're going to get your attention, and they're going to imitate you. So this is where what you've modeled so far is going to show up. Okay? About 1 to 2 years is a fun years for grandmas to watch. And this is where children we're going to call, maybe we shouldn't call them defiant, but that's the word that is used by the CDC. And they're going to be very independent. And this is where you're going to see a lot of tantrums and hitting and biting. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we talked about the first 3 years, there's more hitting and biting than any other years of a person's life. And so, once again, we want to model the correct behavior instead of repeat it. They don't understand what other people think or feel, only what they feel. And they enjoy being around other kids, but only so much. They're not going to share. And they are going to play independently for a brief period, but always come back or want you to be paying attention to what they're doing. So in this stage, there's another theorist. His name was Erik Erikson, and he called this stage autonomy. And autonomy means I'm my own self. And so when we're at this stage, we want to let children make choices. If they're wearing cowboy boots and sweats and all kinds of things, let them make those type of choices and have that independence. This is a time when they might not like your rules, but there are times when you need to be very firm and you need to almost the line in the sand. But in this age, they're not going to understand your thoughts or feelings. And so you can empathize what they're feeling, but also say, I know that you want to continue to do this, but it's time to go home. So, and let them know that you have feelings too. Okay? So, it is an egocentric time and a lot of temper tantrums. Okay, so at 3 years old, you're going to see a lot of affection from children. I think some of the funnest ones is when somebody comes and does that to you, a 3-year-old. They're going to have a best friend, but they're going to maybe once again have a hard time to share. And they're going to actually want to imitate you. I was talking to my son today and about his little girl that's 3, and he said, I just love to be around her. He's a stay-at-home dad, and he said, you know what, whatever I'm doing, she wants to do with me. Now, parents, that sounds joyful, but it takes twice as long to clean the kitchen, twice as long to cook a meal. But this is where children are learning how relationships work. And so take that extra 10 or 15 minutes and be with your child. And what you will see when they are playing on their own, that they're going to be imitating how you treated them also. And so I just love this, is where a child really does want to be around you and helping you. They're almost wanting to be a part of your life and being a support to you. Isn't that fun? And so another thing is that a lot of children, if you read 2 stories at bedtime, but you stayed out late, and so you're not going to read those 2 stories, they're going to be very upset when routine things change that are important to them. 3 and 4 years old, this is one of my favorite. I love working with preschoolers. One of the things that we know in this stage is that they are going to want to try new things. They want to have initiative to do things. And so, once again, a stage from Erickson's theory feels like that initiative is I'm going to try it. And at this stage, kids are the best at whatever they do. Look at, I can do everything right. And so one of the things that you'll find is we want children to try new things, and we don't want a finished product to look like yours. And that helps them with their self-esteem. And so when you're looking for preschools or play groups, you know, you can have something that it can look like this, but let the children explore and be industrious. This is where children will think they're the best and the greatest, and I love it because I wish I still felt like that. I'm going to try this, and it doesn't matter how many times I try, I'm going to be the bestest at it. And so it is fun to see children in here. So they are going to learn to be a little bit more cooperative. They're going to be able to work out conflicts in a small group if they've had that modeled, if they've been given those tools and skills. And then they're going to start communicating instead of hitting. Now in this stage, some of the communications is going to come out really strong. Moms and dads, you'll probably hear that they hate you and they never want to be around you again. So as strong as their physical behavior is going to be, communication that they're trying out is also going to be very strong. So don't be alarmed when they say really strong words, because they are expressing, and know that they are developing because they're not kicking and hitting anymore. This is the stage where your strong words are going to be modeled too. So if you don't want them to repeat the words that you're saying, you might want to stop saying them. Again, the word of today is laughing, because I've heard some of those words come out and it's pretty funny. So laughing. They are going to be able to dress themselves. And so in this stage, to help them with their self-esteem, let them make their bed, even if it has a few wrinkles. I was the parent that usually would go in afterwards and redo it, and I learned that that probably was not appropriate because it made my children feel like they couldn't do it right. And so as a parent, I've had to sometimes go, oh, okay, they've done the best that they could. Okay? 4 or 5. So they're going to have a best friend, and they're going to get invited to their birthday parties until they get in trouble, and then they're not invited to their birthday parties. You're going to hear that a lot. You're my best friend. And they're going to have rules, and they're going to start to understand what other people are feeling and to show empathy. It's amazing that just in 5 years that they can understand other children's feelings, and they can reflect on their past to help understand what other kids are feeling. And they are starting to realize the difference what's between real and pretend. That continues to grow until they're about 8. But you can start saying that character is pretend. He is make-believe. And they're going to be doing a lot of make-believe too. And this is very normal for 4 and 5-year-olds, as they're going to be very demanding and bossy, especially when they're in their own surroundings. Usually when they go out to other people's houses or in a classroom, a setting like that, maybe a church or other things, that they're going to be more cooperative. But at home they are going to be pretty demanding, and that's because children save their biggest emotions for the people they love the most and who they feel the most safe around. So it's this time you're going to see a lot of those big emotions. I'm going to read a book that I want to share with you. I know that a lot of you, once again, we're doing a lot of Mo Willems today. And one thing that I like about The Pigeon Drives the Bus is he goes through a lot of emotions in a very short amount of time. And so that's why I'm going to read it, because look at all the different emotions he's expressing. Hi, I'm the bus driver. Listen, I've got to leave for a little while, so can you watch things for me until I get back? Thanks. Oh, and remember, do not let the pigeon drive the bus. Okay, how's he feeling there? Ah, I thought he'd never leave. Hey, can I drive the bus? Please, I'll be careful. I'll tell you what, I'll just steer. My cousin Herb drives a bus almost every day. True story. Vroom, 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 vroomy. Pigeon at the wheel. No, I'm never gonna do anything. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's play drive the bus. I'll go first. Come on, just once around the block. I'll be your best friend. How about I give you $5? No fair. I bet your mom would let me. Hey, what's the big deal? It's just a bus. I have dreams, you know. Fine. Let me drive the bus. I'm back. You didn't let the pigeon drive the bus, did you? Great. Thanks a lot. Uh-oh. Bye. Hey. Do any of you feel like this with your kids? I know I had some children that were pretty persistent and could go through all those emotions in a very short amount of time. As you look at where your children are, as we've talked about before, is that you need to be the empathetic listener, and as they're growing up, you need to give them the words. You need to give them some experiences that they can share. And so one of the things is sharing is a learned behavior. Some children learn it before others, but most children do not share until they're about 4 and 5. And that means they don't share naturally. But about 4 or 5, you're going to be able to see children cooperative, and they're going to start to do some things like that. There's one of the programs that United Way has is called Help Me Grow. And we are an agency that works together. We have a lot of young families in Utah County, and so most of our efforts go to strengthening families and helping families with young children. And Help Me Grow is one of the most amazing programs that parents can use to make sure their child is developing on track. And what we have, and when I say we, I'm not a Help Me Grow employee, but I do know the staff and I trust them, and they've been a great help and support to my family, is that as you sign up for Help Me Grow, and you can go to their website, you can sign up for an ages and stages questionnaire. And what you'll find on the ages and questions, you'll find there's going to be 6 areas of development, and there's going to be 6 questions in each area. And those questions become, they're simple tasks, and then they get more difficult with each question. And so as a child, as a parent, it's up to you to fill it out, because as you fill that out, you're the one that knows your child best. And so I've just been reminded to say something really important. All of our programs at United Way, including Help Me Grow, are free. There's no cost to anything that you participate in. We do ask for donations at certain times of the year, and we are thankful for the donations, but this is a program that you can use free of charge. Now, if you have questions about your child's development, there are parent support specialists in Help Me Grow that will answer your questions. They'll make sure that the ages and stages questionnaires are filled out correctly, and then you submit them to Help Me Grow. And if there ever is a time that you feel like your child is not developing, they can give you activities, or they can help you find early intervention resources. Now, one of the most exciting things that Help Me Grow has to offer is what we call a social and emotional ESQ, and it just deals with social and emotional growth. So if you're worried that your child is not developing on track in this area, you can request to have that screening. And once again, you do it yourself because you know your child best, then you send it in and a parent support specialist will review that screening. It is not a diagnosis, it's not a test, it's just to see where your child falls in the normal rate. And then the parent support specialist will help you find the support you need. I'm so glad that we have this with our program with Everyday Learners and Welcome Baby, because it fits hand in hand to making sure that parents have the support and know what is appropriate. So as we close today, remember you have till Friday to do the Google form. You'll have some choices of the books. If you choose that book, we have about 5 copies of each title. We try to have a wide variety. And so you might not get that one, so click the ones that you would like. And we do have some new titles today. Remember, the keyword is laughing. On Thursday, we will be doing another story time. We're going to be talking about diverse books and about books from the Latino culture and some different authors that you can look for that. We're excited to have you join us for that. And then you'll have until till Monday to make the comments. So join us on Thursday, but again, next week we'll be starting something that we've never done, and that is we'll be doing some classes that's called Strengthening Families, and how you can strengthen your own families, and some skills and tools that you can use. Thanks for joining us today, and if you need anything, please comment and we can help you.